All right, so now that we know how to get followers, the next step is to start tweeting content. And, again, the goal here, it's essential that we tweet content because that, as you're about to see, the tweeting is how we move people from Twitter over to our opt-in list. So we got to do this step. But my goal is to make this step as painless and, not as time intensive as possible. Because, again, the whole mission here is to move people off of Twitter. So I don't just sit there and tweet all day long what I'm doing. That's not the way that I use Twitter. I don't particularly enjoy just using Twitter that way. If you do, then that's great. You can do that. This is going to be easy for you. But if you're like me and you're like, I would pretty much rather chew glass than just sit there and tweet all day telling people what I'm having for lunch and this and this and that, then how I'm going to show you how to do it is the way that you're going to want to do it. Now, some of the things that we're going to be discussing in this step are the best times to tweet because it does matter. And the biggest concept that I want to get across to you is this concept of tweeting in blocks. Tweeting in blocks, and I'll show you how to do that. And then we're also going to show you how to borrow content and comedy because, trust me, you don't want to... I'm not asking you to come up with a bunch of different content pieces to tweet out all day long. The benefit here is that we get to borrow some of that and sort of put it in our repertoire and repeat it over and over again. So with that, let's talk about the best days to tweet. Now, we got this information from this site right here. It's how do you pronounce this, Perry? Sysomos?
You know what? I don't have a daggum clue.
Yeah. I don't know either. It's like one of the worst names I've ever seen in my life. But anyway,
it's a heck of a good report.
It's a really, really great report that's worth going and reading. I'm going to kind of, show you some of the highlights, but it's worth going to their site and checking out the entire report. But what they sort of noted was that Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the best days to tweet. And the reason being is that that's when the bulk of Twitter users are active. And you want to tweet when other people are actively using Twitter because if you tweet in the middle of the night when everybody's asleep, nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to click on your stuff. Nobody's going to, move themselves over to your opt-in page. So because I don't particularly enjoy just tweeting for the sake of tweeting, I want to make sure that we're fully, everything that we do is maximized. And so tweeting on the days that are best, you want to make sure that you absolutely buckle down and do it those days. So Tuesdays and Wednesdays are key. Sundays, we talked about Sundays being the best day to follow. Sundays are actually the worst day to tweet. Now, Perry, can you kind of explain why that is? If Sundays are the best day to follow, why are they the worst time to tweet?
Well, it seems like people go in and manage their accounts on Sunday more than they talk. I mean, I'm just guessing. It's theory. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But testing results say that our testing results indicate that Sundays are, your messages don't get as spread. Things don't get as, I do pretty good on Sunday mornings, early Sunday mornings. Sometimes I'll get up and tweet a little bit and have some pretty good conversations, I think, before people go to church. But to be honest with you, Sundays for getting a message spread are usually not that great. But some people are in planning their week for next week, and I think people go and do a little housekeeping on Sunday night. And I kind of find myself in that habit. I used to clean out all my people who didn't follow me. I used to clean out and manage my account every Wednesday night and every Sunday night. That was just the nights that I picked because I wanted to start off Monday fresh.
Yeah.
So I think that's why people tend to manage their accounts on Sunday evening. But I've got the best follower ratios back on Sunday evening. They're just fantastic.
Yeah, so if you're not going
but
to...
But tweeting is, not so much.
Yeah, if you're going to kind of take a day off from tweeting, then Sunday would be the day to take off. Now, the important thing, all that being said, you never know when your people will be online. So what I'm going to actually suggest to you is to tweet 7 days a week. Now, don't freak out because we're going to show you how to make this a really simple, easy, painless process. And then at the end of this training, I'm actually going to show you how to outsource and automate the entire process. So if you're kind of starting to think, well, this is sounding like a ton of work, number one, yes, it's more manual labor, but you're building a list for free. That's the point that I want to get across to you. If you got all the money in the world, then don't do any of this stuff, all right? Just buy ads and build your list and do that. But if money's a little bit tighter, this is a good way to build it for free. But either way, if you want the best of both worlds, we're going to show you how to outsource and automate this later on. So, but my recommendation is going to be that you go ahead and tweet 7 days a week. Now, so those are the best days to tweet. Now we get into the best times to tweet. According to Sysomos or whatever this company, according to their report, afternoons are the absolute best time to tweet. You can see that, based on the graph that they had, the afternoons, which is kind of right in this general realm, that's when you get, the tweet activity is at its peak. That's when the bulk of the people are out there tweeting. So if they're out there tweeting, they're seeing who's tweeting them and all that good stuff. So that's why afternoons are the best. Now, evenings, as you can see, you get another little spike over here in the evenings, and that's because this is when people are eating dinner, driving home from work, all that. So that's where you get a lull there. So you get a good pop in the afternoon, then you get another good pop in the evening. Now, the morning, as you can see, isn't great. It's not great, but I'm going to suggest that you still have a morning tweet block. So, and I'm going to talk in just a second about blocks, but this would be block 1, this would be block 2, and this would be block 3. Now, let me explain to you what I mean by tweeting in blocks. The key is that one tweet, and Perry, you were the one that really kind of showed me this. One tweet has virtually no impact. I mean, it gets lost in the timeline, right?
Yeah, you make a whole lot more impact if you get involved in a conversation, because then you have where you're just tweeting, 5, 10, 20 tweets in a matter of a few minutes, because then you sort of take over somebody's timeline.
Yeah, somebody sees they log into Twitter and they see your picture 5 times in a row on their timeline.
Right.
And they're like,
what's going on? What are they talking about? Must be something interesting.
Exactly. So that's why we're going to suggest that you tweet in blocks, not that you just throw out a tweet every now and then. And by blocks, I mean blocks of 5 to 10 tweets at a time. Okay? 5 to 10 tweets at a time. And I'm going to recommend that you tweet your entire block in a 5 to 7 minute period. So in other words, one tweet every 30 to 60 seconds. All right, so one tweet every 30 to 60 seconds, and that's how you're going to, really dominate somebody's timeline. That's how you're going to be the one who shows up over and over again. That's when they're going to start looking, what the heck's going on? What is this person doing? And incidentally, you're going to see when we talk, the last tweet that you do, your last tweet should be the disguised content tweet, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But your last tweet should be that disguised content. And again, just kind of make note of that, because I don't talk about that a little bit later. Make note of the last tweet being the disguised content, because the last tweet's the one that's going to show up on top. So that's what you want people to see. Okay, so we're going to be tweeting in blocks. We're going to have a block in the morning, a block in the afternoon, and a block in the evening. And we're going to tweet. Our blocks are going to be 5 to 10 tweets at a time, and we're going to tweet those every 5 to 7 minutes. Now, if again, if it sounds like, oh my gosh, where am I going to come up with all this stuff to tweet? 5 to 10 tweets, you got to be out of your mind. Don't worry, because we got here, and again, I got to credit Perry with this, these sources of pre-tested content that's worth tweeting. The easiest thing that you can do is to use Google Alerts, and I believe that's just google.com/alerts. Do you know, Perry?
That's correct.
Yeah.
You can actually, if you go into Google News, it's on the left-hand side of any Google News article, basically, and it's awesome. If you want me to do a little demo, I can show how to.
Yeah, I definitely do want to show.
That's one of my favorite. That's the most passive way in the world to get great subject material.
Well, literally, you go, and we'll show you how to do this.
They force it to you.
You can go to Google Alerts, and again, we talked about scuba diving before. You go to Google Alerts, and you can type in scuba diving, and every morning you'll wake up in your inbox, and there'll be a list of articles that are related to scuba diving, and Google just sends them to you every morning, so you don't have to worry about what do I tweet. You wake up and there they are, and you just tweet out to those articles. Another great site is called alltop.com, and the neat thing about Alltop, it basically aggregates the top blogs in different markets. So if you're into the golf market, you can go to Alltop, search golf, and it's going to give you the top 10 blogs in the golf market. And obviously, if they're the top blogs, they're putting out some good content, so you can tweet to some of their content. And then there's another cool site called stufftotweet.com that is really just a phenomenal aggregator of tweet-worthy content. And we'll show you how to use, these things are all kind of difficult to describe. So what I want to do right now is do a quick demonstration. Again, put Perry over here in the captain's chair. Let him do a demo of finding stuff to tweet. So let's go ahead and do that right now.